The fashion industry's primary customer has always been a woman between 16 and 30. This is not a recent development. It's how the industry was built, what it optimized for, and how it's thought about itself for the better part of a century. The result is a kind of structural ageism baked into the business model. When that woman turned 40, she didn't stop spending money on clothes. She just became less interesting to the people selling them. McKinsey's State of Fashion 2025 report, co-published with the Business of Fashion, puts the numbers plainly. Women over 50 hold 72% of personal wealth in the United States and account for 48% of global fashion spending growth this year. According to Jacinth Bassett, founder of the consultancy Ageism is Never in Style, only 3% of them feel seen by the brands competing for that money. The industry that needed their business spent decades behaving as though they weren't there. The consequence wasn't outrage. It was something quieter. Autonomy. Women the industry chose to ignore had to develop their own relationship with clothes. A private, cumulative process built across decades of buying things, wearing them, keeping what worked, and quietly discarding what didn't. No editorial calendar shaped it. No seasonal campaign redirected it. Just a woman and her wardrobe, left largely alone. French women over 60 are held up as the example of this. Effortless, chic, instinctively elegant. Women like Inès de la Fressange, or Catherine Deneuve before her, or Isabelle Huppert now. Instinctive is doing a lot of work in that description. What looks instinctive across a career and a marriage and a few decades in one particular arrondissement is actually the residue of a very long editing process. They didn't consult a system. They kept what worked, let go of what didn't, and repeated that until the wardrobe looked inevitable. The capsule wardrobe is everywhere now. It has its own corner of YouTube, its own aesthetic on Pinterest, its own recurring feature in every fashion magazine published in the last 15 years. The concept is so embedded in how people talk about dressing that it's easy to forget it came from somewhere specific, designed for someone specific, with a purpose that's been largely forgotten in the retelling. In 1973, Susie Faux opened a boutique called Wardrobe in London's West End. She had watched women spend money on clothes that were poorly made, did not fit, and would be out of fashion by the following year. The same cycle that would eventually give rise to fast fashion. Her solution was a curated set of essentials: a jacket, a coat, trousers, a blouse, things that would not go out of style and could be updated with seasonal accents. She called it a capsule wardrobe, and she designed it with a specific woman in mind: the career woman, the working professional who needed to look pulled together and did not have time to think about it every morning. In 1985, Donna Karan made that idea famous. Her inaugural collection, called 7 Easy Pieces, debuted in New York Fashion Week with models in bodysuits, progressively layering a wrap skirt, a tailored jacket, a cashmere sweater, a leather piece, and a white shirt. A Milwaukee Journal review from that year reported that the room understood immediately what she was offering. Karan described the collection as filling what she called a void in the marketplace, by which she meant that someone needed to make it easier for working women to dress themselves for the office. Both women were designing for the same person, working age, dressing for professional environments, navigating a fashion industry that catered to trends they didn't have time for. The capsule wardrobe wasn't invented as a solution for women over 60. It was invented within the industry's own logic. For the women, the industry was already paying attention to. Now those same channels sell the capsule wardrobe to the women that industry spent decades ignoring. The system designed for a 32-year-old in a Manhattan office is presented as the answer for a 65-year-old in Lyon. It may not be wrong, but it is worth noticing. What French women over 60 actually have is harder to name, which is probably why it keeps being called a capsule wardrobe. The two things look similar from the outside. Both involve owning less and caring more about what you do own. But the process by which each comes to exist is entirely different. A capsule wardrobe is designed. You decide what to include. You acquire those pieces deliberately. You work from a list. The whole point is that it begins with a plan. What French women over 60 have wasn't planned. It was arrived at. A jacket still worn after 15 years because the shoulders still fall right. Shoes taken to a cobbler for resoling rather than replaced when the heel wore down. The same pair now on their third sole, still going. Clothes air-dried rather than tumble-dried. Knitwear deep-hilled and folded flat. Because a garment treated carefully lasts significantly longer than one that isn't, and they already knew that. This is, in its essence, what the slow fashion movement has spent the last decade trying to teach people. These women were never students of it. They were simply the original practitioners. Susie Faux, talking about her West End clientele from those early years, described it this way. People would phone the shop for appointments and shop once or twice a season. There was no impulse shopping. They ended up spending less money on fewer items, but those clothes lasted so much longer. She was describing French women before anyone had given the habit a name. French women's wear is projected to grow at the slowest rate of any European clothing demographic through 2028, a compound annual growth rate of 1.4%. The reason cited is consistent. French women opt for fewer, higher quality pieces rather than frequent purchases driven by trend cycles. It is the structural opposite of fast fashion, and it is also, not coincidentally, the structural opposite of how the industry makes most of its money. They're not building a system. They're just not shopping much and haven't been for a long time. There's a code in this somewhere. There's almost always a code. Something bought in the mid-90s that still fits because the silhouette was never trendy enough to date. Maintained because it was expensive enough to be worth maintaining. Worn because everything else in the wardrobe has been slowly edited around it over 20 years. The capsule wardrobe doesn't produce that coat. Time does. The fashion industry is noticing its own mistake, if slowly. Vogue's May 2026 cover featured two 76-year-old women Meryl Streep, and Anna Wintour, photographed by Annie Leibovitz. Several luxury houses, including Hermes, whose intergenerational appeal is specifically cited in the McKinsey and Business of Fashion Research, opened recent runway shows with women over 50. The signals are there, and the capsule wardrobe content will likely continue because it's a format the industry knows how to produce and sell. None of which changes what French women over 60 were already doing before anyone was watching. The wardrobe they have wasn't built to be named or explained or turned into a format. It was built across a long time, piece by piece, and the pieces stayed because they were worth keeping.